Hey there, my name is Vladimir Vasilyev, and welcome back to my channel. Listen, today we're going to film test flight, and it's become an ironic tradition. It's been raining since morning. I was hit by heavy rainfall this morning, and look, there's a storm on the horizon. And the reason for this rain, I suppose, is that today we have a test flight of a pistol plane worth $1 million. Please welcome the brand new Cirrus SR22 Turbo Generation 6. The Cirrus SR22 is one of the most controversial aircraft that has ever entered the market. But in fact, it was this aircraft that took over the entire general aviation market. And arguing that this plane is not the leader is obviously just stupid. And basically, in a certain way of life, this plane is kind of a trendsetter in general aviation. And finally, we have the latest update of this line. Of course, at the outset, I want to mention that a lot of people might say there's a problem with how Cirrus comes out of the spin. Well, first thing, this actually happened, but to the first models only. And second, and crucial, the problem of getting out of the spin is not a problem at all, since many of us, we have no problem flying on Boeing and Airbus, and these planes are absolutely not designed to do piloting and even more to get out of the spin. And it's the same with the Cirrus SR22. It's designed for comfort and safety. And in particular, working on the Generation 6, the manufacturer went even further. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Originally, Cirrus came on the market back in 1999. I mean, he did that so modestly. It was 21 years ago. In fact, a very small number of Generation 1 planes were produced then. And then there was a more advanced model, and let's just say the most affordable Cirrus of all time, Generation 2. Generation 1 was the first aircraft. Generation 2 was a work in progress on bugs, and truly a decent plane. By the way, a few words about the parachute system. It was always included in the basic equipment of the Cirrus aircrafts. And to buy Cirrus without this system was simply impossible then and now. And with the release of the following models, there were more and more improvements. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Generation 3 that the manufacturer changed a little bit of the wing. And the carbon fiber longitude came into being, which increased the useful load of the plane by 88 pounds. The landing gear has also been changed. They have been upgraded, and they have been improved to cushion its shock absorption capacity in the event of an emergency landing to cushion the landing impact. And talking about the Generation 3, there was some changes in avionics as well. Replacement of the Avidine Integra on the Garmin 1000. Then the Generation 6 followed in 2017. Talking about the Generation 6, first of all, it is distinguished by the presence of Garmin ProLine Plus. Well, clearly it works faster compared to how it loads in Garmin 1000. Cirrus positioned themselves as the safest aircraft as they have a second life button. And once you buy a plane, they immediately offer you a training program, even if you aren't buying a new one. The company offers you free training from authorized instructors to improve the level of safety, and for this manufacturer, deserves great respect. Perhaps Cirrus has its own specific feature, a plane with a philosophy of maximum automation. In particular, see what the keys to Cirrus look like now. Now they look like this. And if you want to open the plane, I just have to push the button, and that's it. Next, to minimize the preparation time for departure, there is an app from Cirrus. So using it, you can remotely track the situation with your aircraft as well as we used to do with cars. Well, we can see the amount of fuel in the tank, the amount of oxygenated, TKS is de-icing fluid, the temperature of the oil, the charge of the battery, and the total number of flight hours. At this point, it's 31 hours. It's a high-altitude aircraft, and it's certified to fly up to 250 echelon. That's 25,000 feet. And I mean, with the app, you can check in advance all the parameters of the plane, how much de-icing fluid was left, and so on, by coming to the plane. But according to the checklist, do you have to check all these parameters by yourself in addition to what you see in app? Of course, I do. The checklist is irreplaceable. But still, when you go to the airfield, you already know whether you need to refuel the plane and if it has enough fuel, or you have enough de-icing fluid and the plane is ready to fly. Or you need to refuel this liquid, but in case you need to request the handlers in advance so they can deliver it. That is, the app in any case shortens the preparation time for departure. The aircraft has a permanent connection to the Cirrus server, and basically the aircraft can always exchange information with the manufacturer's main service. Firstly, it helps in terms of aircraft maintenance, and the company service has full information about the plane. And secondly, if you have the Garmin Pilot app installed, then you can use the app to analyze your flight, what was good and what was not. And now, last but not least, the Cirrus company encourages and pays for your training with qualified instructors, so you have a certain level of skill. And the plane has a special unit that constantly sends information to the Cirrus server. So if you make mistakes during the flight, it notices all your errors during the piloting. The Cirrus then contacts the instructor who trained you, and if you are highly leveling the plane, or landing at high speed, or incorrectly using engine management, then expect to receive a call from your instructor who will offer you additional training to prevent such mistakes from happening again. The level of their service is just amazing. Yes, no less amazing than the cost of the plane itself. I'll repeat myself. This plane is absolutely new. It was delivered from the United States about a week ago to a client. Wait, I must have misinterpreted it. Not to a client. The idea of sharing. Let's just say that it should be here in our country as well. And in many ways, it will help us, and this plane is now owned by 4 people. That is, 4 people together bought a new Cirrus. Yeah, it isn't cheap. But in terms of the quality of the product you get from the Cirrus, especially when it comes to Generation 6, because an airplane automatically determines who flies it and when and what mistakes he does make. So all these help to track who operates the aircraft and how. By the way, externally, Generation 6 can be identified by these LED lights. These are air navigation lights. Very cool stuff. But from what I understand, this option can be ordered for older models of Cirrus. But first you need to find out how much it costs. This is the de-icing fluid refueling hole. The plane is entirely equipped with the de-icing system. This system has been installed on the wings and on the empennage. Here are the nozzles as well, and that's where the fluid comes from and flows into the windshield. And we also see this system on the propeller. Yeah, that's a really great one, though. I found out how much it costs for a Piper Malibu. That Malibu propeller cost $24,000. And the interesting detail, on Malibu, it was wooden inside. This propeller is basically considered to be composite, but it's based on wood, and then it's coated with carbon. And this is where we see a special titanium service that is needed to protect against rocks or something. Look, it's starting to rain. Let's go inside. What's going on there? I have no idea what this is, but it's kind of rustling. Well, the Cirrus also comes with standard airbags and 4-point belts. This is the famous second life lever, so that when you take off at the height of 200 feet and you rip the pin off, so then you can fly with the system on and activate it at any time once it is needed. In terms of options, it's turbocharged. It's a turbocharged version, so it's a high-altitude plane that's ready to fly. And this is where we have oxygen, so we can put 4 oxygen tubes on it, and 4 masks for each passenger are included as well. Again, the plane is air-conditioned, and as a rule, it needs to be used on the ground, and then it needs to be turned off after takeoff. Also, when the system is turned on, this menu appears on the screen. It is addressed to the passengers, that you need to fasten your seatbelt, information about where the emergency exit is, that you cannot smoke on board, and so on. Also on board is an autopilot from Garmin, which in case of disorientation and when you do not understand the location of the aircraft, you just pull this lever. Well, we have a strange situation. Our plane is heeling and we have lost control. What to do? We press the level button and release the rudder. That's it. What does the plane do? It automatically aligns and goes horizontally. And this check sheet is already designed for the pilot. So basically, it reminds the pilot to see what restrictions the aircraft has. The plane has both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. That is, you can easily connect your iPad to the plane and download your flight plan, which you have pre-installed at home. I would also like to remind you that there is an electronic stability and protection system. I mean, if you're actually doing something wrong and making some kind of a mistake, like bringing the plane into an extremely big nosedive or stuff like that, then the autopilot, even if it's off, will still try to confront you so you don't make mistakes. Yeah, that's true. The plane really resists me and returns to its proper position. An interesting fact is that there's a new feature called Synthetic Vision. And it's kind of a basic feature on Cirrus SR22 Gen 6. I mean, what do we see? There's a window we can use. Next, we can press weight and balance. Accordingly, by putting the exact weight of all the passengers and the luggage in the trunk, the plane will automatically calculate how much you will be in balance when the plane is fueled and when it's not. And it's also equipped with satellite telephones, which means that in addition to being able to get weather reports all the time via satellite and also the internet, we have our own network on board. We can easily connect planes to each other via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, make calls via Messenger, such as WhatsApp or FaceTime, or use a conventional satellite connection. There are engine modes here on the screen if we need to monitor the situation more accurately on takeoff or landing. And here's also another cool feature that we have on the plane. There's an infrared camera under the wing. There it is. And it's worth not much, and not enough, $6,000, guys. When you land at night, when it's dark and you can't see anything, the camera allows you to see all the objects on the runway. Did you see there was an object that prevents us from taking off? And in the dark, this is an incredibly cool feature. An infrared camera will allow us to determine the size of clouds at night. Of course, it's not ideal, but in many ways it helps us to bypass the clouds in the dark if you see nothing. And on top of that, when you go into a closed airfield at night, for example, this will help identify the animals on the runway. I once met a deer in my path, in Poland, also rabbits. And in fact, this feature has long been used on expensive aircraft, such as Gulfstream, Boeing, as well as in military aviation. This has long been used. And what's cool, this feature was introduced in general aviation on relatively small aircraft. It's got a keyboard. And when you have to change or set flight plans, it's incredibly convenient. Touchscreen, however, has its advantages, but additionally, classic keyboard is a must-have thing as well. We have entered all the necessary information, and the plane is ready to fly to Kiev, Borispol Airport. That is, using this system, the pilot relieves himself of additional load and can better focus on piloting. I've nothing to add. Automatics are cool, though. It's noteworthy that Garmin introduced into general aviation all those complicated and costly features that was on large aircraft only. In particular, there's no weather radar. But as an option, quite for an adequate price, you can buy Doppler radar from Garmin, which responds even to small wind movement. Once, it was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now it's quite an affordable feature even for relatively small planes. Look, this is the backup display. In case this panel fails, press this button, and the second panel immediately becomes the main. That is PFD, Primary Flight Display. It may seem like all these little details mean nothing, but all of this together affects the level of security on this plane. And again, coming back to that system, there are 180 instances of this system being used and more than 200 lives saved. And all thanks to that particular feature that made it happen. Here we see one interesting detail as well. This is a lamp, and on the other hand, there's a second one too. So when the plane flies at night, These light bulbs turn on and illuminate the front edge of the wing so that in the event of ice, it can be seen and controlled. Apparently, the rain will start very soon, eventually. So we're going to take a break for a while and wait it out. Let's check out the oil. Look, friends, that's the Tannis heater. That's a system that can be connected when you leave a plane in a hangar. Here, the cable could be connected. There is a special connector, and there are adapters with SIM cards that could be inserted as well into the socket. So when you're getting to the airfield, you just send a message, and this heater itself will turn on and will start heating the engine by the time you arrive. Flaps are set at 50%, 77 knots, and then at 92 knots we'll be climbing and then close the flaps and continue in cruise and climb mode, about 120 knots. I mean, look, we already have a runway displayed in Synthetic Vision. There it is. Yep, even markup is displaying differently over there.
Rotation. Конечно, энерговооруженность у него очень хорошая. То есть вот мы пошли.
Could you show the others, please, how the side stick works? You know, there's a right word for it, thoroughbred. So that's what you can say about this feature in the new Cirrus. I don't know how to explain it. Hopefully you'll get my point. But maybe when the different types of livestock producers grow horses, for example, they sort of do the breeding and the result comes. So what I'm talking about is that now, in the new generation of Cirrus, you feel that the very breed, that kind of style. And notice that we can easily dial 150 knots, which is 75%. Well, the plane, however, is intensively gaining altitude. Yeah, we are not in cruise mode, though, but we have to date everything so that the aircraft consumes an average of about 15 gallons. Like that, 15 to 17 gallons, depending on the chosen mode. And again, just in addition to the characteristics of the aircraft, that's a high-altitude aircraft, and naturally it is equipped with a turbocharger. So overall, it's after 15,000 feet, when the air is already empty, that this plane comes to life. And if at that moment we have true airspeed of about 140 nautical miles, then at an altitude of 20,000 feet, you can easily approach the level of 190 nautical miles. Look, but it isn't economical at all. Seriously? Keep in mind, it's at 190 nautical miles. Well, let's just turn it around a little bit and turn on the autopilot, because that's the main trump card to this plane. I mean, what we're doing right now is not a usual thing to Cirrus aircrafts. We're manually driven, and that's not about the Cirrus philosophy. Autopilot. Autopilot. Well, that's it. So guys, finally, we are flying in the usual mode for an owner of the Cirrus plane. I mean, now you can get comfortable. Put your hands on your belly, of course if you have one, and fly safely. Well, now we quietly enter into FMS all-R flight plan, and the plane itself can comply with the vertical profile, as well as lower and rise. He can do anything. And what I really like, we're able to see on display over here even the amount of fuel with which we will land. True. So all we have to do is turn on the flight plan, set the destination, and voila. If I'm not mistaken, now we have a route to Odessa, right? Yes, that's right. Great. All right, seems that the plane is already automatically moving towards Odessa. So the next thing, the flaps. We open them at 110 knots, right? Look, the first flap's 50 by 150 knots.
Сейчас первое положение.
Just in case, the headwind is 19 knots now. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. That's really a lot. 20 knots on the side is a lot. Oh, finally, runway. Man, Garmin is something incredible, though. Yes, indeed. All I can say, the Cirrus SR22 Turbo Gen 6 is just a great aircraft. But the fact that it cost $1 million, guys, that's certainly expensive. I would say it's too expensive even for such a good one. But guys, let's face the truth. That's a really cool plane. And what's more, in fact, Cirrus, working on bugs, is constantly improving its product, including the precaution feature that has also been installed on the Gen 6. It anticipates every error you make, some wrong maneuver, wrong speed, or somehow you do not work correctly with engine modes. This function will point you to an error. You will instantly receive a red sign on the screen with a guideline of what to do. Guys, manufacturers, you made it. My opinion of that plane has changed completely. It's an amazing plane. I don't know what else to add to the above. That's a great plane. And that's a great one in every sense of the word, in terms of security, how it flies. And no lie, it flies so cool. And also from the point of landing. To land this plane is not a big deal anymore. It is not the plane that you need to fight with during landing. No, in Generation 6, it began to land somehow pretty similar to Cessna. They got a kind of quality. Friends, fly such cool planes that we fly. Come to the sky. I'm Vladimir Vasilyev. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.